just as an information item, no action required.
Great, looking forward to that.
Are we going to,
Commissioner Lynch. Pardon?
we going to approve the agenda?
Oh, it wasn't on my, okay. Guys, hang in there just a second. Okay, first we got to approve today's agenda. Is there any additions to today's agenda? Okay, seeing,
No amendment to the agenda, but just congratulations to Santa Rosa County's Bubba Watson on a nice win yesterday. So Bubba's 10th win on the PGA Tour.
great. Congratulations, Bubba. Appreciate that. Commissioner Lynch, thank you. All right, seeing nobody.
Gulf Breeze High School, the girls soccer team, is going to the state finals this week. So big week in sports.
We better add a sports section to this, I guess. All right. All right, Ken, come on. We'll go ahead now. Commissioner Lynch, thank you for helping me out with that. Update on Navarre Beach Pier.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Ken Fountain and Larry Rollison with the Growing Santa Rosa's Enterprises, and wanted to give you kind of a state of the pier report. And we are happy to say that we have opened the bar mid-January, and we've also opened the restaurant February 13th. So we're making progress. We're still under construction. We're still making improvements. Wanted to tell you a little bit about what we've done so far and a little bit about where we're going in the future. And let's see. Not sure how to work the PowerPoint, really. Okay. All right, sounds good. So we've got our online menu and to-go menu set up. It's all on our website as well. So we've set up a website. We have a text network set up where we can send out notices of events and different things going on to people that sign up for the text messaging. We've had some really good reviews. The food is really awesome. We've been really excited about that. We've also had a lot of growing pains, for sure. But we've had some real good feedback so far, and we've had a just packed house the last couple of days, and really since we opened. Now, we had hoped to be open on January 1st, and that was our goal, but we did discover some issues that we had to resolve when we took over interim management and took over management at the pier. Wanted to give you a little bit of update about the problems we ran into and how we've solved those so far. One of the first things we ran into was trying to get the kitchen operational. We had a major cleanup job there, of course, and we did get everything out of there and cleaned up. But one of the main issues that we found was health and safety. That's what we focused on so far. We focused on making sure that this facility is ready to operate safely and at full capacity for the next 6 years. So we discovered that the kitchen did not have adequate fire suppression. And they have cleaned that up. We've cleaned out all the issues there and have installed some additional fire protection and safety equipment.
All right, and there's on hoods, okay, when you got vent hoods in kitchens, okay, there's a requirement of having those things cleaned once every 6 months, I believe, okay? We've instituted that policy, and we have a company that is going to come in there and do that. That's where grease fires happen in hoods, when they let that grease accumulate and they don't clean them, and that's one of the things that we found. We found a huge amount of grease in there. It was actually pretty dangerous. But we got that straightened out. That's some of the big issues that we looked at in getting that kitchen going.
And we found more as we went through the propane gas tank system that they had previously used underneath the pier. And the propane system was also very defective. We had to replace that propane tank and the propane delivery system. So that's another fire issue that we really resolved out there at the pier. I think it was leaking and there all kinds of...
Yeah, there was issues in the line at topside, but one of the big issues is the tank was sitting up underneath the pier, okay? I'm sorry. One of the big issues is the tank was actually sitting up under the edge of the pier. Okay, that is illegal, literally, okay? That tank has to be out from underneath the structure that you're feeding. Okay, so we got the tank moved and we put an adequately sized tank in there.
And, we also found some critters, which we've completely gotten rid of. We had Brian Pest Control work with us, and we've remedied that situation. We've made a lot of treatment and different issues there. So we can report that everything is health, sanitary, good for operations. A couple other things we found, the beer cooler that was part of the fixture there had some real serious black mold issues. All of that's been cleaned up. So the point of really all of this is just to let you guys know we've really been out there doing a lot of work trying to get this thing up and running, make sure it's safe for operations and for Santa Rosa County. We also discovered on the way the doors were operating and swinging that they were actually fire hazards because they swung in. So they need to swing out so that if there was ever a fire, you could get out of the structure. And we've remedied that by changing the way the doors are hanging right now in the bar area and in that area. Also, during our renovations, we have redone the bathrooms and working on the exterior of the building. We've discovered quite a bit of termite damage. Some of it was really structural with some of the studs and foundation, the base plates. We've replaced all of those wood panels, the studs, the bottom plates, and also working with Brian Pest Control, we've really made sure that that's not going to be a problem going forward, and we've made sure that we've remedied that situation. And then finally, we're also still working on this plan with the lighting system out there. Some of the lighting had deteriorated that was there before, and we are working on a comprehensive lighting plan to be turtle compliant, but also to provide adequate lighting for the guests and visitors out there at the pier.
Yeah, let me make a comment. All right, listen, on the electrical, okay, one of the big issues that I run into is that out of the kitchen panel, they were feeding about 12, 14 circuits into a junction box up under the pier, okay, or up under the bar area, and they were trying to feed out of that junction box to feed all those different circuits. Okay, and you've got a deration problem. When you put more than one circuit in a conduit, at that point in time, you start derating, and according to the number of circuits, you derate. None of this was done, okay? So what I did was we put a new panel board in the bar itself. We refed it with a feeder. Now we're branching out of that panel board the way it's supposed to be done. On the lighting, we're proceeding, but I wanted to get the electrical straightened out, and then now I'm proceeding on the lighting. I do have a plan for a job that we're fixing to do to get that done.
So that's what we've been focusing on so far. We've been working on trying to make sure all the health and safety issues, we've got the understructure, some of the infrastructure, those problems have been solved. And now we're moving on to trying to improve the aesthetics and then the functionality of the restaurant and the bar. So we're excited to say that we have a lot of new things you'll see changing really over the next 7 to 10 days. You'll see a lot of exterior work going on. We're adding an additional wine bar service on the east side of the existing pier bar, which is sort of a lot of the adults like to stay on that side, so sort of the quieter side of the pier. We're having all the wood repair should be done in the next 7 to 10 days, and we're completing the repainting of the exterior of the structure. Downstairs has been cleaned up and painted, so we're working on that area as well. We also have a new state-of-the-art security system. We're going to have constant recording. We have camera system. Have a new webcam that's being installed as well on the pier, which I'm really excited about sharing with the county. Once that's up and running, it's really going to be much better than any of the webcams you see on the internet right now. So we're very excited about that. And also with trying to get with Sheriff Johnson and trying to make sure that we make that available to him as he needs access for safety and security reasons. We're working on the interior of the store, and so just want to let you know all that is coming along, that's being repainted. We have new retail fixtures coming in, new merchandise coming in. So I know spring break's around the corner, so we're rushing really quick to get all that ready for us. Some of the different things we're going to have in the Navarre Beach Pier in the store will be a lot of new fishing equipment and things like that I think everyone will like out there. We have a new sun sail type shading system that we're working on. We're working on some different ways to provide sun protection. As a temporary basis, over the weekend we really had a huge crowd, so we we employed umbrellas, and we'll probably do that until we have a final structure approved and built out there that gives some additional protection from the elements for visitors. And we're also working on, we've identified some different mobile restrooms. I mean, one of the things that we need to do is to have a restroom on the pier itself for the fishermen, and fishermen season right around the corner. And so we've identified a couple of different systems, but we want to get with the county, make sure it's something that works. The radius out there is pretty tight, so we have to have a system that we can get on the pier and off the pier, and it's manageable for service. In addition to that, we are continuing to work on making sure that we have communicated that there is additional services available for those with disabilities at the pier. Our website is just now coming online. We're trying to make sure that people know if they need additional assistance, they can call us and contact us to make sure we can get out to the pier, back and forth, anything they need. We just need to be asked about it and know about it in advance so we can be able to provide that service. Let's see. Other than that, we do intend to have working on some different beach rental gear for people at the beach. Again, we're focusing on safety and functionality first, but we're going to have some additional features for everyone out there. And then finally, we just included some different exhibits at the end, which just are some photographs to show you some before and after, some of the cleanup process that took place. And it shows some of the new kitchen equipment that we had installed. We've really completely replaced the kitchen. It's everything in there is new. We've completely redone the bar area and have a new bar system in place. And we have new furniture out on the deck and have set that up. And then we had some of the electric drawings that shows you some of the ceiling fans and different wiring that's taking place in anticipation of some of the lighting that we intend to install. So I'll work on having a shorter presentation in the future, but I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an update about what we're doing and where we're going with the future. And I think we've had great feedback. We have had really overwhelming crowds, so we're doing our best to adjust to that and train our staff. We've really only been open a week with a full menu. We did have service for the Mardi Gras parade, and we're excited, and we look forward to your feedback, and we'll keep working on it to do better and better for you.
Ken, last week we had a planning workshop, and this just adds the excitement to, hopefully we started there. Today to hear what you said about the cleanup effort, the termites, the rodents, all the new equipment, the cleaning of the grease. I'm sure the fire department folks behind you appreciate all the efforts there to correct all that so they don't have to respond to a tragedy out there. But, we hear so much about things like that where restaurants are shut down for cleaning and different things. And I think, there's a lot of responsibility that should be taken by the Department of Hotels and Restaurants, but I think as any state agency, they're probably overburdened and don't get around as often as they would need to. I could say personally, I've been down to the brewery several times for pizzas and stuff, and the cleanliness there and being a patron and being worried about flu, being worried about different sicknesses that could occur from being at a restaurant that's not maintained properly. It makes me feel good to go there. There's very few places that I'll go that I feel comfortable that the proprietor takes the extra effort to keep it clean, to keep it taken care of, and I know our selection of this group for our pier is only going to reflect that and see great things. Because if you go with all this effort up front, I know in 6 months when it needs cleaned, it's going to get cleaned. It's not going to go overburdened again. So thank you very much for the presentation. Don't worry about making it shorter. If it's good news like this, then I'm glad to sit here and hear it. So I'll open it up to comments from other board members. Commissioner Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. Dan and I had an opportunity to go down and visit and meet some of your team and see some of the work that's been ongoing there. The restrooms, big improvement there, and the bar area and all the TVs. And as you said, you replaced the entire kitchen. Can tell that you had to deal with maybe some of the challenges that you didn't expect early on, but it looks as though you've caught up well and going to be ready for March spring break and the start of the season. this is more of a question for staff. The things that were identified, I don't know that all of them could have necessarily been seen during the due diligence period, Dan. But, you know, we start talking about mold and pest and location of propane tanks and doorways and termite damage. What can we do to make sure from an inspection standpoint, it seems like those things were allowed to go on for a while. Is that something that we missed internally? Or is that something that, as Chairman Cole mentioned, was more of a statewide inspection effort?
I would defer to Roger a little bit. I think there's a Department of Health inspection regimen that we don't control that would identify some of those things. We did not have any, we didn't have any code compliance complaints or issues where we had the code compliance team out there that I'm aware of. So it's something that we will note and make sure that we keep an eye on. But I think that those health inspection things are a Department of Health, a state level issue.
I would just, some of these are definite safety issues that were brought forward, and I know they've made it right, but that's definitely a blind spot evidently that was going on for quite a while that we probably want to circle back and make sure that's not the case at any other locations where we have relationships with vendors from a rental standpoint. Look, thank you for remedying those. The only concern that I have is the last contract that was done with folks with the pier, that they made all these big promises of what they were going to deliver, and then they came in and a lot of those never materialized. I can see that a lot of the things on the list here that you promised to do, you've already ticked off the to-do list. You've already gotten started on that. That's the only concern I have, is that there would not continue to be a sense of urgency, and I know that that's not going to happen. So it's not a concern, it's a request maybe to just be ever mindful of the things that were part of the original proposal, and to make sure that you keep making progress on those, because I think that'll help build trust with the board and with the community. I really don't care if the menu is the same or, you know, those are business decisions that you need to make. But the things that are part of the agreement, to make sure that we're continually communicating with the board like you did today, that would be very helpful to me and I think the board, to defend what you guys are doing out there and to make sure that we're supportive of you and that we continue to grow. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want, is to make sure that you're successful, you're taking care of the money that's supposed to be going to the county, we're providing a great experience, and that it's growing.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Okay, listen, we, in our meetings, I say board meetings or whatever, but we've made it clear to all the partners concerned, okay, that we do not anticipate taking any profit out of this thing for at least 2 to 3 years. Okay, and the reason being for that is we're gonna take our first 2 years worth of cash flow and profits, and we're gonna grind it right back into that place. A lot of the problem with the pier is nobody ever gives anything back. They just suck the life out of it, you know? And we want to put the life back in it and make this thing function properly and turn it into a high-class place.
Well, if you take a long-term growth perspective like that, and model a lot of the things, that's when I think of one as another successful entity on the beach. That's obviously what they've done. They continue to reinvest back into their business, and they've continued to expand, and they've continued to be successful. If you do that, this board will run through a wall for you to support
You can see it
you.
at Yale Brothers. We constantly reinvesting back in. We constantly making it better. We forego a lot of profits that we could be sucking out of that thing, you know, but we don't. We want to do the long game. We want the 10-year plan, not the 1-year plan. And I can attest to that. That's what we're doing with the pier right now. It's going to take us a little time. Please be patient with us. But we will get this thing cleaned up, and it will be a class joint when we get through.
I think with what we've seen just since the early, having to take it over early, getting boots on the ground, getting what you've done so far, I have no problem feeling like this thing is going to continue to bloom. What you just said about the profits, and you and your brother are the oldest members of the team, so for you guys to say that means more to you than it does to the rest of the team, I think. But hey, it's great what's happening out there, absolutely fantastic, and just.
We thank you, we
best of
appreciate the
luck to whole
opportunity.
county, so.
We appreciate the opportunity, and we are getting our website and communications up and running, so we'll be easier to communicate with in the future. We're designating some websites for emails for communications so that you don't have to 5 of us to try to email to chase down for things, so.
One
we'll have
thing
that set up.
I'd like to add, though, you know, coming up front, you didn't have the opportunity to look at all this, and I know today's not here for an ask, but I feel a responsibility as that being a county entity that, and I don't know what the rest of the board feels like, you may have run into some things that cost you out of pocket, and again, I didn't hear one thing up here today that we'd like you to reimburse us, but I think it's only us responsibility to at least have staff, you know, maybe the engineering department, work with the county administrator and look at that, because to me, that shouldn't be all on you. And again, I haven't heard a thing about that. I know you're out there shaking your head, no, we don't want that, but it's only fair to me, it's our pier. You guys are managing it, and if there's something out there that was degraded enough that should have been corrected before you took that contract, I'd just like to throw that out there, that maybe Roger look at some things like that, come back to the board with maybe a suggestion if he feels that's necessary. I would be open to hearing that, so.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Again, just the fairness issue to me, so.
Well, we appreciate it because we're throwing everything we got at it to try to get that place, and get that and turn it into a decent place out there, so.
All right, well, thanks again, appreciate the time this morning. All right, our next presentation this morning is Navy Federal Credit Union. Presentation by Bill Dagnall. He's the Assistant Vice President of Business Development for Navy Federal Credit Union on the Milton operations, which we're glad to have you all back over here in Milton. So Shannon, if you'll introduce your guest this morning.